First, let's go ahead and watch this video. Again, this is from an actress who was in the first and second Twilight. She played Victoria. Right, Rachel Lefevre, maybe. Sorry if I'm butchering that. But she went to Target and was very upset about the Pride display. So we'll go ahead and watch this video together, and then we will watch her response video, because there's a lot of people who had a lot to say about it, which I'm not surprised, which she shouldn't have been surprised. Perhaps she wasn't surprised, but oh boy, it's a thing.
Into Target, and the right behind me here where you see all these lovely swimsuits, that's where the Pride display used to be. And I came in here 2 days ago, and my 7-year-old, who's non-binary, saw it and said, "Look, Mom, it's Pride. Look, they're gonna celebrate me." And because some people complained and threw some stuff to the ground, or I don't know what happened, they have moved the Pride section to the back of the store. So the next time my 7-year-old comes to Target, or rather, I can't bring them here anymore, at least for the entire month of June, because if they walk in, and all the other people who walk in and go, "Where'd it go?" are going to realize that they are being successful in trying to erase them. We could do so much better than this. We're not supposed to negotiate with terrorists. We can do so much better than this.
So, a couple things. One, yes, Target stores they've been removing some products, like I think all the Satanist related stuff from the Satanist artists has been removed. Like you can't find it on the website last I looked. So that stuff has been removed because it's not a good look for like a family store to be associated with artists who are Satanists. Wonder how that happened. So they taken out some stuff. And when I went to Target, I didn't see the shirts with like the naked trans people on it. But there was Pride stuff when I went to my local closest Target, and it was still up at the front of the store. Now there are Targets who are moving their stuff to the back of the store, the Pride stuff, to like smaller sections. So it's still in the store, and they have the bathing suits and stuff up front. Now she could tell her child, that it's the summer and they're trying to sell bathing suits, if that's the easiest way that she wants to spare their feelings. Because stores usually have seasonal things, important things that they want up front. Now Target's been doing Pride for a while now, and they usually do have that stuff up front during the time. But of course, like their tuck friendly bathing suits cause a big outrage with people. Their bathing suits that are for all gender expressions, that were like skirts or whatever, that concern people. Even like their tops, I saw a label or whatever that was like, it looked like it was supposed to like smooth you out or whatever. So I think, is that supposed to like kind of also be like chest bindery in a way? I don't know. But Target does sell chest binders. There's people who have stopped shopping at Target ever since like 7 years ago when they decided to do the bathroom policies. There's people who stopped shopping at Target fairly recently when they decided to start selling chest binders for young women, which that sort of, I read a post last week that someone shared about the deviousness and the destructive behavior of the chest binders. Because even if you say, well, that's just social affirmation, it really does do damage to your body, and it does damage to your breasts. So they start not looking so good anyway. So if you think that's just maybe like we'll wait and see how it kind of actually is, eventually you're conditioning these people to eventually chop off their healthy breasts. I didn't appreciate Target selling this stuff either. So we're at a different sort of emotional period now, seeing some of the stuff that they were selling this particular Pride. So there's been reactions, and Target has decided to move it to the back of the store. So they haven't got rid of it, she admits, but they've just moved it. So yes, she could just easily tell her 7-year-old child that they have moved these things and there's bathing suits because that's what they want to sell in the summer to their folks, and they don't want that to be the focal point or whatever. But the thing about her child, her coming in the store with her child who's non-binary, let's just get that out of the way. You don't have a non-binary child, not just because they're 7 or whatever. No one is non-binary. There's that whole thing. But how does your 7-year-old child know that they're non-binary? Rosie O'Donnell actually was going viral. If you guys have seen the video, talking about her daughter was saying that she's non-binary, and she's like, well, why do you say that? And Rosie O'Donnell told her that she could still like boy things and be a girl. And Rosie O'Donnell talked about how she was always seen as different. She's a lesbian and stuff, and but she's always been into more boy things, and so she told her that you can still be a girl and still be all into boy things. That's totally fine. Today's generation is so worrisome about how they're so obsessed with, it's like they want to break the traditions of these different gender categories, but they're such slaves to them. And if you don't like a particular thing, they're like, oh, I must not be a girl. Oh, I must not be a boy. My sister started watching the TV show about Sylvester Stallone and his daughters, and the girls mentioned that when they were little, they think their dad didn't know quite what to do with them, and he'd have them do all this kind of crazy training and all kinds of other stuff growing up or whatever. But they mentioned that when they got older, he could bond with them in different kind of ways because they decided to like and adapt to things that he was into. So I'm not into like smoking or anything like that, but they went to like a cigar lounge and was smoking cigars, and they're into cigars and shooting and all the kinds of stuff that their dad is into. And so things that maybe you wouldn't think traditionally female, but they're beautiful, feminine women, they don't have any gripes about their gender identities from anything that I can see. So they're not even like masculine in liking, liking these masculine things, or traditionally maybe masculine things. They're still very feminine in their appearance and their approach, but they still like, things that predominantly males would be into. And that's fine. That's absolutely fine. It's crazy to me that we're not giving people space to just be themselves. When people are upset with their appearance or whatever, they're just so quick to change who they are. My sister did a TikTok, my youngest sister, she did a TikTok this past week talking about how she was having a conversation about plastic surgery and would she change her face or whatever, or do anything to her body. And so she said no. She's kind of like, what for? And so she said when she was younger, there were things about herself that she really didn't like. And she wrote a book and talked about her struggle with she actually was anorexic at one point, but she talked about how there were things about her body that she did not like, that eventually she had to grow to love, and has come to grow and to love herself and her body. And it makes me genuinely sad that there's so many people out there who decide that they're so uncomfortable with themselves, and they're so hateful about things about themselves that they feel so radically that they have to change them. So and do a 180. Like, I was thinking about young men who might want to be females, and I'm like, you don't even know who you're gonna be even in your 20s, or how you may look like in your 20s. Some men don't even like get attractive until they're like 30 years old. I especially feel like that is the case with white men, but like, but they'll be like young men or in their 20s or whatever, and they'll want to shift and be ladies. I'm like, just give yourself time, space to figure yourself out before you dramatically change who you are. You'll come into your own eventually, but you have to give life space to happen. So her 7-year-old being convinced that they're non-binary, who taught them that? And I say them because I don't know if it's a boy or a girl. I don't know that. But who taught your child that? Who taught your child that they were non-binary, and that it was okay to think that, and to not give them space to actually figure out themselves in their skin as a boy or a girl? How do they know that? How do they know that? And so coming in the store and seeing the pride stuff, and the child saying, oh, look, they're celebrating me. It's not your darn birthday. It's not your birthday. You want a celebration, have a party, have a birthday. So, her being so upset because her child felt validated and was getting validation from the rainbow stuff everywhere, all the stuff on the clothes and whatnot in the store. I don't think that's healthy. And to feel so sad because they moved the stuff in the back of the store because now they're not catering to you, they're catering to the rest of their customer base and what's good for their bottom line as a company. And again, they didn't get rid of it. They just moved it. And now she's all upset saying, I can't take my child back to the store for an entire month at least. And they have these displays up and it's not even June. It's not even June yet, but the stuff they bring the stuff a little bit early so people can prepare and I guess have that stuff during that time. But again, just tell them it's summer. People, they're trying to sell swimsuits or whatever. But the child has to be so devastated and she's so afraid of her fragile child because the stores are no longer celebrating them in the way that they feel that they ought to be celebrated because you can't have this group participation. That's crazy. It's all about vanity for your fragile egos. They do call it Pride Month. They do call it Pride Month, which I mentioned in the top of the hour that I think it's different than something like Black History Month. Like Black History Month isn't a celebration of me or my family or anything like that. It's or other Black people who are just kind of in modern times, not if you don't have any sort of history. It's uniquely American history, I would say. And the accomplishments of these underdogs within our history and what they've been able to accomplish. Now, there's a lot of people who think that we shouldn't have a Black History Month. And I understand that argument that we should just be celebrating or incorporating Black history so much within our actual history in school and our conversations every day that we shouldn't need a particular month to uplift it and celebrate it. I think Black History Month is pretty different than all the other like cultural heritage months and stuff because it's, again, rooted in history and those accomplishments rather than it just about being Black people. But Pride it's a celebration of this vanity outlined by this woman and her child of celebrating what? Because you have certain feelings, because you do certain behaviors. Like, yeah, so you want to be uplifted for your vanity, your pride, etc. If people don't adhere to that, they're so offended. People got so mad at me on Twitter because I said that June is going to be Life Month for me because on June 24th, that's when the anniversary of Roe v. Wade is of it being overturned. And it's also my birthday month. It's also my sister's birthday, which her birthday is on the day that it actually fell on the 24th, and mine's on the 10th. So it's just ours are 2 weeks apart. So, I'm going to be doing a whole bunch of pro-life content during that month and stuff. So, people were mad, not just because of the fact that I'm pro-life, but because I wasn't going to celebrate Pride because I wasn't going to be into it or whatever. To the effect of people arguing that we don't need a Black History Month. Like, do you guys feel like Pride has stopped? We've had Trans Visibility Day. We had the anti-discrimination against trans, bisexual, whatever, blah, 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 that we had just a week ago. It's been like nonstop the whole time. It seems like there's always a new day, a new celebration, a thing going on at the White House. They're mentioning stuff like all the time. So, and I feel like these stores, they celebrate Pride more than they celebrate anything else. It's a bigger deal than things like Black History Month, etc. If they really need all these stores to make her child feel, happy with themselves, and they're gonna be so fragile because they move the stuff in the back of the store, that is a huge problem. Which they already have a huge problem because your 7-year-old thinks they're non-binary. Where did your child get that idea? So anyway, let's look at her response that she gave.
So in my post about Target, I mentioned that my non-binary child was 7 years old. And firstly, thank you so much to all of you who said beautiful things and offered support. Thank you. To those of you who wrote hurtful, disgusting, you know what you wrote. You know who you are. Boy, was I angry. And I punched back in a post and I posted it. And about 90 seconds later, I deleted it because something dawned on me. I was raised by an abusive mother and an alcoholic father who didn't do anything about it. And so I know how much pain you have to be in to hate that hard. I know the kind of hate that you have to put inside you to numb the hurt. So instead of hating back, I just choose to know how much pain you're in. Whether you're lonely, whether you feel put down, whatever it is that you are numbing with hating other people, I want to say that when you can find the courage to face that pain and you get rid of the anger, I hope there are people there who embrace you. I hope there are people there who can love you and hold space for you. And when you are ready to show up as your authentic self, the way God made you, full of love, I will be here to say, hi, it's nice to meet you.
So I thought it was Rich throwing God in there at the end as your love is your authentic self. And that's when you'll be able to, whatever. So people bring up God so much to kind of like, you're not supposed to judge. And what about love? And I'm like, you guys don't even understand what that biblical perspective of love is. Like, love doesn't, the Bible talks about love and it says it doesn't rejoice in wrongdoing, but rejoices with the truth. So if you're not non-binary, which you're obviously not, if you're not actually a boy, you're not actually a girl, whatever, I'm not being loving or kind by going along with something that's untrue, going along with something that is contrary to the actual design of your creator who forged you in your mother's womb. And unfortunately, when you came out of your mother's womb, she was crazy and put a lot of ideas in your head, or was around a lot of people who put ideas in your head, or allowed you to be around people who put a lot of ideas in your head that made you reject who you actually are supposed to be. So I find that rich, but they don't have any real concept of real, like, biblical love in a sense. It's not just affection. It's not just being nice. People can be nice to your face, and people can love you into a grave. People can love you into a grave. Think about how people treat addicts. And addicts eventually need to reach some kind of bottom so they can get back to the surface. Some people will coddle, especially if you're a celebrity and you're into drugs and other stuff like that, and people around you, a bunch of yes men and folks will just give you what you want to the point of you put yourself into an early grave. Love is not always affirmation. It is often not affirmation. Love is often being tough and being real and being honest, because it's very easy for strangers to be dishonest with you. They'll never see you again. I guess it's also easy for them to be honest if they never really have to see you again. But it's hard for people who you associate with yourself all the time to have to sometimes hurt your feelings. But sometimes your feelings can't be spared to get to the truth. So this whole turning it as if people saying your 7-year-old's not non-binary, you're what you're doing is abusive, or you're doing something wrong, since so much of their worldview and self-worth is tied up into a rainbow display at Target. If pointing that out makes you think like, oh, you must have been abused, like I was abused. Maybe you want to affirm so tightly because of your particular issues that you had that you haven't dealt with. So now you're coddling your child. I mean, that kind of seems like a better explanation than we're all just abused, hateful people. Maybe you're just wrong, and maybe you can try to understand where people are coming from as opposed to just projecting your trauma onto other people. So regardless of however she feels or however her child feels, the reality of the situation is her child is not non-binary. I don't know if it's a boy or girl the child is, but they're one of the two. They're one of the two. And people pointing that out isn't wrong. I'm assuming a lot of people did not talk to her in the most humane way, perhaps. And I'm not taking accountability for things I didn't say, but people can obviously have these conversations in a more delicate but still stern manner. So if she received unnecessary hate, that's unfortunate. But she did call everybody terrorists. Did she not? And there are people who are going around messing with like their displays at Target and harassing customers. We talked about that on Friday. I showed a video and I was like, I said, don't do this. This is awful. Don't bother the workers like that. When I went into the store, I did not bother anyone. I just took some photos, did a quick video, and I left. Like, don't bother the people like that. Don't ruin the property that's not yours. That is not appropriate. It's not appropriate. You can vote with your dollars and obviously encourage other people to do the same, but you don't have to resort to some kind of vandalism. So that's not good. But she called people terrorists. Target has had Pride for a while now, but the big tipping point is one. I think the demonic stuff. Where the satanic designer, but the tuck friendly bathing suits, having the men in the bathing suits to model them, and also the stuff for kids that are for all gender expressions. This is a social contagion, and people, I believe, need to speak up against it before it gets worse, because what I absolutely know is that she does not have a child who is 7 years old, who is non-binary. That child was taught that, and we're not terrorists for speaking up and telling you the truth, lady.
Thank you for watching my video. Make sure you go to blacktnews.com and check out different articles, different videos, and also check out our merchandise. If you like what I do, you can also support the website on the donate page. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and also that notification bell. God bless.